Good afternoon. My name is Tom. I come to you from the North Maine woods. I am out this afternoon. I've got a fire going here beside me, and I'm going to be cooking up some deer steaks here in a little while. I brought some seasoning and stuff, and I'm going to season up my steaks. Nothing fancy. A little bit of salt and pepper in a plastic bag. I'll put them in there and shake them on. I think that if you season up deer steaks too much, you probably don't like deer meat that much, because it is pretty good right off the deer. I've got a fire going here, and I plan on cooking them on there, but more of smoking them, so I can get a little bit of that smoke flavor on there. I just plain love smoke flavor. But this video is going to be about, I'm starting a series. It's going to be a 12-part series on becoming a better deer hunter. In my thoughts, anyways. Maybe that's not a good word for it. But as I said in my at the beginning of all this, in my trailer, that I hunt a little different than other people. I deer hunt a little different. I ice fish a little different. But I have some ways in the deer hunting that I would like to share that it's kind of gonna take you way back, you know, like how they probably would have hunted 100 years ago or 150 years ago, before a lot of the modern technology. Other than my rifle and my warm clothing, what I'm getting, my point is I don't take a lot of the jewelry with you that they put out there now on the television and online and stuff. Jewelry that is supposed to make you a better deer hunter and all that stuff. I say get back to the simple stuff. Keep it simple, stupid is one of my famous sayings. But it's going to be a 12-part series. And the reason for 12 parts is there's 12 months in a year. And deer season in this state is 4 weeks. It's the month of November. But if you really want to get into deer hunting, it's a 12-month sport. After deer season, I kick it into high gear for scouting. I try to do as much scouting as I can the first 2 weeks of December, right after the season. That is knowledge, it's valuable knowledge that you can take with you year after year. And so that's where we're going to start. And it's kind of going to be like, forget everything you've been taught about deer hunting. I know that sounds kind of ludicrous and probably even a little bit scary or maybe a little bit odd, but this will be part one of 12 parts. So I will try to put one up every couple of weeks. But I'm going to be, some of them I've already got done, but just going to put them into order. And I'm going to start from the beginning and work my way through 12 months of deer season, how I do it, and what works for me. Now, I'm not here saying I'm the best deer hunter in the state of Maine, or the best deer hunter in the country. But I hunt alone, and I like it that way. And I have different techniques that I use because I hunt alone, and I would like to share them, and maybe you could put some of these into the way that you deer hunt, and maybe it would work for you. I get deer, I've shot a lot of bucks, I've shot a lot of big bucks, and I've done it, every single one of them I've shot by myself. I've shot bear, shot them by myself. So there's methods and techniques that I employ for deer hunting. And I would like to take you through that. So this is part one of 12 parts. Like I said, you got to kind of forget everything you've been taught. And what I mean by that is, let's start out with all the scents and all the stuff that they sell you or want to sell you. You know, body scents, and so the deer can't smell you. All that. Well, the deer can pick out, from what I've been told, about 200 different scents at one time. So I don't see how you can make yourself so clean that you're going to trick a buck's nose. So that's just where I'm coming from. It's a probably, and I'm gonna expand on this as we go. It's nothing that I can talk about in one setting. It's not one helping. It's gonna take a little bit of explaining to what I do. The step one. This is a big state. you go up country and you get up on the highest peak and you look out. And then the first thing you're going to think is, where do I begin? Where do you begin looking for a deer when you can see 100 miles to the north, or you can see 100 miles to the west? It's a big state. So what you need to do is you need to narrow that down. You cannot take this state on as one big piece of pie, the whole pie. You need a little tiny piece of pie. Pick out 2 square miles. That's it, 2 miles. 2 miles. Get yourself a GPS and figure out where your 2-mile markers are. If you got a cabin up north, that's even better. Stick to that 2 miles and learn that 2 miles like the backside of your hand, or like your home. You can get up in your home and you can probably walk from room to room in the pitch dark and not run into anything. That's how you need to learn that 2 square miles. Get into your piece of woods. Learn that 2 square miles. Know where the deer bed down. Know where they hunker down during windy days and rainy days. Figure that stuff out. And figure out it doesn't need to have a field in it. Get out of the fields. That is something else we'll touch on. The big bucks are not hanging out in the fields. You might be able to once in a while get a big buck out of a field, but that is a rare thing. I want to shoot a big buck every year that I'm in the woods, and I think of that every time I go into the woods, that I am after a buck. I'm not a headhunter, but I do like to shoot big deer. And I like to get deer that are over the 200-pound marker. That puts me into, in this state, what's called the Big Bucks Club. So sometimes our headgear isn't as good as what you would see in other states. As far as, other states, whatever they're doing, they're raising some enormous headgear. Up here, there are lots of deer, but you have to hunt for them, and you have to learn some techniques that will work. All that fancy jewelry, of course it will work south of here. They got a deer under every bush. They got a deer behind every tree. So the deer population up here, you have to learn how to hunt for them. And that takes learning how to actually hunt like the old timers did of 150 to 200 years ago. So this is going to wrap up this right now. This was just a little bit of food for thought. And subscribe to the channel and follow along. You might pick up some stuff that you never even thought about, because it's going to be right back to that famous saying, keep it simple, stupid. And if you keep it simple, you might find a buck hanging on your meat pole more often than what you've had. Now, this probably won't be for the guy that probably already knows that he knows it all. This is going to be for that guy that hasn't got a deer in a while, but he would like to get a deer. And I'm not talking about getting a deer once every 10 years. I'm talking about giving you a real, honest-to-God chance at shooting a buck every single season. And if not every season, every couple of seasons, depending on how much time you put in the woods. And it doesn't take a lot of time, but it does take valuable time. Time that, if you've done your homework, you can go out there and you can go to the right spot so that you're on that spot when you're going to have the best chance possible. I have shot deer. Most of my deer I have shot in a short amount of time. The shortest has been 10 minutes. I've shot deer within 20 minutes, 45 minutes. It's watching the weather patterns, all that stuff. So I don't necessarily spend days and days and days and days in a tree stand anymore. I did that when I was younger, and then as I got a little older, I learned different techniques that work for me. So I would like to share some of these techniques with you, and let's just see where it goes. So tag along. You might pick something up. I will see you on the next video, and you have a great day.